Hey everyone, today I'm going to talk you through Mythic Nexus King Salhadaar. I played Fury Warrior on this boss, and I'm going to give you some tips on how I played this boss. So the gear that I had was this, and it is my single target setup. I don't have any better trinkets at the moment, although this one is quite good. The Delve belt is beaten by 3k DPS on my sims by this belt here, so I may as well use this for more stamina. The talents that I ran were these. There are some filler talents here that you could, put somewhere else if you wanted to. This one is kind of pointless as well, but we just kind of have an excess of talent points. So, yeah, feel free to change this up if you want to, but you can also just use this. So, anyway, let's get straight into the VOD. So this is the VOD here. On pull here, I'm going to just use Recklessness, Avatar, Bladestorm. By the way, if you have had this problem before, if you use Recklessness before you enter combat, you may find that your rage resets to 20 rage. Let's say you use Recklessness and Avatar before the pull starts, you get to like 30 rage or maybe 40. And then combat starts, your rage gets set to 20, you charge, and then you're like, why can I not rampage? It's because you pressed your cooldowns too early. So wait until you get into combat first, and then Rec Charge, Avatar, Bladestorm. So that's what we're doing here. And after a Bladestorm, you want to be pressing Raging Blow as many times as you can. Well, up to 5 times. But once your enrage expires, or when you run out of Raging Blow charges, that's when you want to press Rampage. The reason you do that after a Bladestorm is because of the Brutal Finish talent, which makes your next Rampage after Bladestorm hit 50% harder. So you want to maximize that by getting as many Slaughtering Strike stacks as possible. So here we're going for a Soak. And while I'm going for the Soak, actually, I use Thunder's Roar, which has been relegated to just a filler ability at this point. So I use Thunder's Roar while I'm out of rage to the boss. May as well do something with the ability. And we go back to normal rotation. If you find that you're dying or at risk of dying quite often to these soaks, you may want to go into defensive stance. I wouldn't really recommend using spell effect on the soaks, because there are better things to use spell effect on here. This is something that you can spell effect. I always decide not to do so, because I don't think the claw, the behead it's called, is that important. And here comes the first spirit. You saw the spirit kind of flying from the boss and then landing there. So I'm just facing the spirit, just like on the Kaiveza Delve boss. So I go into this soak. And we just do our rotation and dodge beams. Dodging beams is very important. Getting hit by a beam sort of head on will pretty much always kill you. So here I got a claw again. All I need to do is to make sure I'm not hitting... well, I'm hitting as few people as possible. Sometimes it's hard to wing it. But most important, you need to make sure that a claw doesn't end in the very middle here, because you need that space free for the intermission. Or for the end of the phase. So here you saw the spirit fly out this way, and then another one is spawning here now. So I face this one first, and then this one. If you ever fail this, you will get MC'd at the end of the phase. I have a debuff now called Banishment. You can see it in the middle of the screen here. It's called Big Dot. At the end of the Big Dot, you kind of explode for a big burst of damage. If you have spell effect active at the end of that burst, you actually don't take that burst at all. But my spell effect is on cooldown at the moment. So you can see when it ends, I take a decent burst. It didn't look that bad there, but it's very easy to die from that if it overlaps with, for example, this soak here.
Rallying cry in 3.
So my MRT note is reminding me to rally here. So there was 3, this is the end of the phase where you get 3 of the spirits. So one was here, and then here. You need to pay attention to in which order they spawn, and face them accordingly. And everyone in the raid needs to do this successfully, otherwise they get MC'd at the end of this phase. And that's bad news, because that means a combat res, or they stay dead. And also here, when he teleports to the middle, he starts casting this. I never tried to stay in this void zone. I assume you die if you stay at the end of the cast. So I leap out at about 1 second left, and then charge back in again. I whirlwind because now he will mount his dragon and he can cleave 2 target here. Then I do use my Bladestorm here as well. It's really important for me to get my Bladestorm back, and Recklessness ideally as well, for the platform. The intermission that's coming up in 10 seconds from now. So we're doing the dance here. We can see that, I'm just going back a little bit, we can see that these beams were going inwards, so we need to stay at the edge. Oh no, it's here actually. The second beam was going outwards, so that means it's going to converge inwards, so that means we're running to the middle, and this is why the middle of the room had to be clear. And then for the final set of beams, we use a gateway to get back out again quickly, because it's almost impossible to get to not get hit by these beams if you don't use something quick like a gateway. So here I'm going to stay on the boss a little bit longer just to get a little bit more CDR, because I want to get maybe one more rampage if possible. I didn't get it. But if I just do one more rampage here now, I will get my avatar, or Recklessness rather. And I actually do send a Roy here for vibes, I guess. It doesn't really matter, don't think too much about that. And I've applied Overwhelm to everything with Bladestorm, right? Which means that the 4 set now has a really high chance of proccing Reap the Storm now, when I'm cleaving it on this many targets. I'm also targeted by the Twilight Massacre at the top here. So I need to make sure that goes through the middle ad here, the caster ad, Sevos. I will also get hit by Terran's Twilight Massacre here. He's going to be moving through just like I am. So I'm going to be hit by my own Twilight Massacre and his as well. I'm using Enrage Regen and Spell Effect just to tank both. So I'm trading my defensives to stay offensive, basically. And that's always worked out fine here. And we always agreed to move to the entrance. So this is the entrance where we came from when we're dodging these swirlies, just so we can keep melee uptime. So at this point, I'm just trying to... I'm just doing normal rotation, basically. Weaving in whirlwinds to cleave the raging blows and rampages and executes that I'm doing. Trying to avoid pressing Bloodthirst ever, because it's such a weak button in this build. This platform melted really fast. You can see the Frost DK on my side just demolishes the ads here. He has a fully stacked, well, a highly stacked Nether Prism, and they just get destroyed by that trinket that needs cooldowns. So this is the part leading up to the second intermission, where there is a damage amp on the dragon. So here the beams are going to be in the opposite order as last time. So here we're going to be staying out, and then we're going to be gating in, which is the opposite of what we did last time. And the intermission will begin now. I'm going to hold on to this Bladestorm until the damage amp begins, which is when this King's Hunger starts casting. So there it goes. Recklessness. For some reason I sent the Roar for vibes here again. And Bladestorm. And you just want to DPS the dragon as much as possible here. Our cooldowns aren't that strong, so I don't think our damage is that impressive here. But it's also not that bad. And also at the end of this phase, everyone gets a claw on them, right? I use Spell Effect here. I also had a Rally assigned to me, but the Spell Effect will basically make it so that I take 0 damage. I've seen Spell Effect just eat up multiple claws as well. And there's just no risk of dying here whatsoever if you have Spell Effect up. I just usually just plant. I don't move. I don't want to cause confusion for other people, so I just... Whatever claws people put on top of me, I will survive them anyway with Spell Effects, so no problem there. So I didn't get Mechanic here, so I'm just hitting the boss. And I'm using my cooldowns on cooldown. But this Bladestorm here was quite unfortunate. The pull-in was a little bit too strong, so like half of my Bladestorm got denied there. So I was actually a little bit too late to move through there. So I should be moving through on this one here. I should be moving through, but I hesitated, so I leaped out and then charged back in again for the next one. And now we're moving. So I'll explain this weak aura and how to aim these lines on these stars in a moment when I get the mechanic. We're using the liquid weak aura pack, and this is how it works, right? So this one is the left, this one is middle, and this one is right. So the weak aura is telling me to hit the right one. So that's looking from the inside to the outside of the room. So this is left, this is middle, and this is right. So I'm gonna aim my red line into the one on the right. And I also spell effect to reduce my damage taken, and I believe also it deflects a nasty dot on you. So if you get targeted by this, you're probably one of the better targets to tank it. So now it says to drop this debuff on orange, and I do have the debuff. The tank is going to be the one that wants to be on the actual marker, and you want the melee DPS to be to the left and right of them. So I see Isildur, the planted to the left. So I go and leap to the right side. Tip as well is you can actually leap over these flowers or whatever you want to call them. You don't take damage by leaping over them. So if you need to, you can leap over them. It's safe. I use Enrage Region here. I don't have spell effect available. I also have D-stance active. I lose quite a lot of my health anyway, so definitely make sure that you are playing defensive when you're dropping off this mechanic. And I'm moving through on the next. There's a little gap here. I wait again, and then I move through now. And I believe from now on, I actually don't get any mechanics. So I'm just doing my rotation. A tip here, by the way, is that if any of these lines deny you from hitting the boss, you can actually just pop spell effect and stand inside one of the lines. That is super safe to do. But keep in mind that if you do that, you don't have a spell effect available for dropping off this debuff. And if you don't have Enrage Region either, the only thing you have is defensive stance, which might not be enough to survive dropping off these debuffs. So be careful with that as well, I guess. And I lined up my Blade Stone with Recklessness there because the cooldowns were very close to each other. And there we go. Now we just have one more set of Star Killers. These lines.
Let's go. Hold on.
And there we go. The boss is dead. So we actually could have killed this boss a few days before he got nerfed, but we didn't, sadly. We had a few unfortunate pulls, but it is what it is. Boss died, and I think to get a good log on this boss, you really need to be able to get a lot of damage done on the intermission platforms where there are lots of ads. But if you have Giga Blasters on your platform, then you probably won't get a good log because, well, you won't get that much damage to yourself on that platform then. But yeah, that's how you play this fight. That's how I played it. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned a few things. And I will make another one of these videos for Dementius as well when we down him. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.